everyone, if you could get back to your seats, please. Oh my gosh, you guys are such good little boys and girls. So excited. Yo, people in the back, get back to your seats, please. Okay, so this is the advancing, and this is back, and that's the laser pointer.
Okay.
But you're going to stay here then, right?
Yeah,
Around
so,
here?
yeah.
Okay. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is the advance. All right, everyone, so we have a presentation on SharePoint. So if you all can just bring the attention back up here, we would appreciate it. Take it away, guys. Ladies.
Thank you. Thank you. Good morning. Hope you enjoyed your break. My name is Beverly Swiger, and I work in the Division of Technology and Innovation. And this is Terry Vanderskel, who also is a manager in Tech and Innovation. I'm sorry. The group I manage, some of you are familiar with, and many of you probably aren't. It's a relatively new group. It's called the BA PM group. BA is for business analysts, and PM is for project managers. So we're the people that come to you when you want a technology solution. We're talking about a lot of projects today. Terry and I are going to talk to you about something that's related to IT projects.
And let's talk IT. We actually, when we were put on the agenda, we wanted to be able to sit and talk technology for the next 2 hours and take you guys all the way up into lunch, and that would have been a good thing, right? Right? Because it makes my heart smile to look out there and see all of these laptops and all of the hardware that's going on. But in reality, since she's told us we can only have 15 minutes, so we had to take a very small part of what we do on a daily basis and present it to you in the next 15 minutes. My name's Terry Vanderskel, and part of what I do for a living is I manage the SharePoint team, the people who deal with SharePoint on a daily basis. What we plan to do today is real quick over the next 15 minutes, we're going to give you an idea of what SharePoint is all about. We're going to tell you about the plan that we have with Lee Win and Tech and Innovation and DelDot, what we want to do with SharePoint moving forward. We're going to show you a couple of illustrations as to what we've already got going in SharePoint and some of the possibilities on how it's going to be able to work best for all of you, each and every one of you guys that's sitting in this room today. And then last but not least, Bev's going to give you a quick run through of the project portal and request form. That's when someone wants to do an IT project, this is where they start off. Anybody have an idea what SharePoint is? Who's used SharePoint in the past? Hey, everybody knows SharePoint good. Well, let's just call this done. No, it is a software package. You're too willing. I'm sorry. It's not that lucky. But it is a software package, and it is a technical tool, okay? It's a web-based software package. And what we plan to do with SharePoint is we're going to use it to improve productivity and to increase efficiency. And that's an important part of it. Does anybody right now, do you know what you have to do if you want to make a change to the intranet pages right now? Do you know what you have to do? No. You have to call up the help desk and say, hey, can we do this? And then a couple weeks later, they put it in there, and it's usually good to go, right? So the SharePoint, what we plan to do with SharePoint is we're going to automate a lot of the manual processes. Innovation, right? Automate the manual processes. Let's make it quick, let's make it simple, let's make it easy for everybody to do. We're going to replace the dreaded shared drives. I don't know if you guys all have a G drive, but in IT we have the dreaded G drive where everything gets put out in the G drive. And if you need to find it later, good luck. It takes a little while. So if we take that and we put it into SharePoint, it's going to be easily searchable, and it'll make things a lot simpler for everybody. So with that along comes the document depository, or the depository, whew, that's easy for me to say. And then we're going to replace the intranet. And again, what's the benefit of replacing the intranet when we've already got one? Who here goes out to the intranet on your daily basis, besides the fact that every time you open Internet Explorer, you have to open it up? Yeah. But do you use it to go out there and see what your team is doing and how to get the information for your team and all of that kind of good stuff? You do? Good. Rob does. That's awesome. Well, we're going to make sure that it gets a lot more easier for everybody to get out there and do that. So part of what we're doing with the intranet, and this says coming soon to a computer near you, this is actually a work in progress. Right now we're in the middle of quality assurance, and this is going to be the new tech and innovation page. Everyone who works with tech and innovation is going to be able to come out to this page, and they're going to get their answers really easily. It's going to be simple to get to. If you notice a couple of things about this tech and innovation page, the very top part gives a newsy and some of the different information that we find is helpful and useful and that everybody might want to read about tech and innovation. To the left-hand side of the screen, there's a calendar, and there's a lot of department-wide resources. Some of the stuff that you're used to seeing on the intranet, like some of the documents that you might need as a DelDot employee, the org charts, and different things like that. Within the center, and probably the most important, is stuff that's all completely relevant to tech and innovation. And what's really kind of cool about this is that each and every one of the divisions within DelDot is going to have the opportunity to have a page just like this with tech and innovation. And across that center area there, we're going to be able to put the information that's useful to your team, to your division, the stuff that you want to see on a daily basis. So if you have questions about tech and innovation right now, it's going to be quick and simple for you guys to come into this page and read up on what are some of the things that we're working on, who are some of the people that work for us. There's org charts, and we actually took ownership of this. And the reason I say that we took ownership of this, and some of you guys probably already are aware of this, the org charts, for example. It's something that we have all of the admins updating on basically a daily or weekly or however frequently they can get into it, updating the org charts so that the org charts are always complete and at the basically real time, if you will. So you see there's all kinds of information. We're going to have a page, at least one landing page like this, for each of the divisions, so it's going to be stuff that's going to be useful. It's going to be friendly for your people to come into, and if they need to find an answer, they can find it quickly, easily, simple. Part of this is what we broke down in our tech and innovation page into a bunch of logical, functional groups, okay? So this is just one example of one of the logical, functional groups in tech and innovation. Woohoo! We're going to give Mark a big shout out here. This is the Enterprise Asset Management Solution team. And if you go to Mark's page here at this EAMS page, you can get a quick idea of what they do for a living, what they do on a daily basis, what are some of the applications that they support, who their people are. If you look to the right-hand side on this screen right here, hopefully you guys can see it. These are all of the people who work in tech and innovation, some of them behind the scenes, and they actually work in the Enterprise Asset Management Solution team. With each and every one of these guys there, each of the people that's on your staff is going to be able to have their own page as well. Now look at this. This isn't Facebook, okay? It's not Facebook. But this gives you an idea of what's going on with Mark Barrett, what some of his professional things are, some of his interests, and those types of things. So everybody's going to have the option and the opportunity to put that out there if you want it out there. Make sense? Exciting things, isn't it?
Okay, so one of the things that we're also doing in tech innovation is my team that I mentioned earlier, the BAPM team, that comes out and interviews you basically to find out what is it that you need, how do you do things today, how can it be done better, more efficiently. They come out and ask you a lot of questions, do a lot of pictures and workflows and things like that, and then eventually a project manager is assigned to help you get the solution of your project. So my team took it upon themselves to create our own sub-site, you want to call it, project portal. This is already in production. Some of you have already been using it. But some of the reasons we did it is because we wanted, one, awareness. So how many of you how do you guys normally ask for an IT project in the past? Email, maybe you've emailed Lee Wen, or you've called somebody, or you've called one of the people that you're used to working with before, one of the developers maybe, and said, hey, I got this idea, or I saw this software, can we get it? There used to be, I've been with the department over 20 years, and there used to be a form. So we wanted one centralized place where everybody could be aware of all the projects that are going on. We also wanted participation. So in a minute, I'm going to show you how division directors are now involved in a workflow. So they're always aware when somebody has an idea and submits it. It also involves participation from a lot of people in this room. If you have a state email address, a lot of our vendors can actually access these sites and contribute information. And it's centralized. Earlier we talked about the G drive. Pretty hard to find things on the G drive. This categorizes things in a certain way, so it makes it easier to find, and as I said, organized. So how many of you know what this page look familiar to anybody? This is our intranet, and I've highlighted one of the frames on the Newsy because that's where our project portal is. So as I said before, some of you already are using this. If you haven't, when you go back, please take a tour. So the orange, I don't know if you can see it there, but we have Wally, and there's a little link there that says IT Projects Portal. If you click on that link, you'll be taken to a landing page. This is our current list of active projects. There's 32 on here. There's some that haven't been created yet, so we have more than 32. I think Rob mentioned earlier, hundreds of IT projects. It feels like there's hundreds of IT projects sometimes. But this is the landing page where you would find all your active projects. At the top there, you can navigate to your particular division if you want to just see your division's projects. And sometimes we have projects that are shared by multiple divisions, so it's pretty small for you to probably see here, but they're sponsoring Division 1, 2, and 3 so that you can see when those instances occur. These are the existing projects. They're active. If they become inactive, they'll be shown on the individual pages for the divisions. If you want a new project, up in the upper right-hand corner there's a link that says need to submit a project request or idea. Click here. So if you do that, you'll be taken to this page. I know it's probably really small font, again, for you to see. But this is the queue. Earlier I mentioned we have workflow. So when somebody submits a project request, it goes through a series of approvals, very limited. I don't want you to think it takes forever. You would just click New here to submit it, and it takes you to a form that you would fill out. Very easy to fill out. I know some people in this room have filled out a couple of those. And once they hit Submit, it goes to their division director or a designee. So earlier, about 6 months ago or so, we met with the directors, or Lee had talked to the directors and gotten their input on who they wanted to designate as an alternate in case they were unavailable to approve the form. There's also email notifications throughout the process, so everybody is aware a project has been requested and it's been approved. So there's only 2 levels of approval, your division director or designee, and then it goes to tech and innovation managers like Lee, Terry, and myself. Once a project is created, once it's been submitted and approved, there's a process that happens behind the scenes because, like everybody else in here probably, there's some duplicate entry. Currently, we have to take that project request and enter it into our internal system called Project Portfolio System. And then we look at resources and the timing of the project. Once it's created, we'll put it into the system, and here's an example of one of the 32 projects I mentioned earlier. This is Maximo for roadway lighting. So this project is to have the overhead lighting structures on inventory and using Maximo to do the work orders and track the inventory for across the state. It has a task bar so you can easily know where you are in the project, when it's supposed to end. Other projects you'll see as you travel through there, you know, that we have color coding if it's a warning of it's running late behind the anticipated schedule that we wanted or not. There's a calendar there. We put a lot of the resources there from the divisions. For this particular project, I think somebody's on guard duty, one of our subject matter experts, so we track a lot of that. On the left navigation, there's a bunch of categories there that helps people to see any meeting minutes, requirements for your project, any links. So really, you can save any kind of document there, video, any kind of pictures, and you can contribute to this site as much as you want. We're adding pictures and things like that. So we're really proud of this. A lot more people are getting used to it and familiar with it, and as a result, they're wanting SharePoint projects to do their own things. Some of the future things we're looking at is, I mentioned earlier that there's dual entry, so we're trying to integrate SharePoint with some of our other systems that we have so we don't have to put things in two systems. I'm working on trying to find a way to prioritize projects. We're thinking about using a product to do that we already use, because everybody has their own idea of priority, right? We have the public's idea of priority, we have internal people's ideas of priority, and trying to put all that together in some kind of metrics. Terry's going to talk a little bit more about where we're going with other divisions, as she mentioned earlier, but may need some training. We're going to try to do as much. SharePoint, one thing that I like about it is very easy to use. It's like creating your own website. So there'll be some training involved. And as we go along, we're always seeking input. There's a survey on our site that you can follow. There's also a tutorial on there as well.
This is just a real quick, we wanted to give you a heads up. Some of the things that we've already automated, like the incident and accident report, that used to be a very manual process, that's been automated. In tech and innovation, we have a purchase request automated system now. We used to be able to also be a very manual process. People can come to one site, fill out their information, and it gets moved along right away to who needs to go and sign off on it and all those types of things. But most importantly, and what we're showing you here, is you get to have a sneak peek, because you're here at the Winter Workshop, the fact that all of the divisions are going to eventually have their own interactive website that they're going to be able to add to and have their staff update. This is a sneak peek of the DMV's website. And I tell you again, it's a work in progress, so just kind of take a quick little look at there. And then we also have, well, we do have, oops, I'm hitting the wrong button. Oops, I went back. This one. I swear I work with technology. I just don't usually get to use the remote in my house, so this is a new concept for me. So you guys see, you guys laugh, you understand, don't you? And this is the DART page, the Delaware Transit Corporation page. It's also a work in progress, but it's information that's very relevant to what they do on a daily basis. So that's just kind of your sneak peek, because you're here at the Winter Workshop. Does anybody have any questions for Bev or myself? She wants to throw her little, oh, we do have a question. Yay.
I'll probably just scream it, but I want to throw it at you.
So what do I do?
The cube is broken now, no more questions.
Okay, see if that works. Oh, I think it worked.
All right. With Federal Highway, we've been using SharePoint for a long time, but I guess our issue is we haven't been able to allow, like, the state to look at our SharePoint site. Have you been able to find a way for, like, the partners, federal and locals, to access DelDot's page? Because we can like share manuals. Files are getting so big you can't send them an email. In Federal Highway, we actually like take a whole manual, we'll put it out on SharePoint, and people can work on it, and you don't have to like copy what somebody else said. Everybody sees it, it's all real time. It's wonderful.
That actually is a very good question. We are working hard to make that happen. One of the things, Matthew Ng is on our team, and he's been working together with Dave, where's he? Somewhere in here in the crowd, because they have some of the external customers that need to be able to get and connect into those SharePoint sites. So he's been working with making that happen, as far as having somewhat of a VPN connection and a place where this one portion of SharePoint and this site resides by itself, so that it's not necessarily open, or the rest of the world cannot necessarily see the rest of our SharePoint of what we've got going there, but this one particular site is going to be very open, and if you have the right authority to be able to connect in there, it's going to let you come in there and add your documents or pull up what you need to view and things like that. So we do have that working. So that was a very good question. Anybody else have SharePoint questions? You're excited, right? You want to be on the SharePoint team to be able to create your own divisions? Yes. Woo! See, Rob's ready.
Without further ado, this is Craig, and he is going to do, so here's the advance, and that's the back, and there's that laser pointer.
Wow.
Okay.
Thank you. Can you hear me? Yes. Very good. All right, I like to walk around because I get nervous. This is supposed to be a design construction presentation, but the group engineer left the department, Mark's possible. So the good news is I get to tell you how good design did and how bad construction did this whole time. Hey, they're not here. They don't want to present. They don't get. And this is based on DelDot Cares. I know we get a bad rap, but I put some beautiful birds that Glenn Lovelace sent to me that actually are at Prime Book Road. I think they're piping plovers, but I could be way in left field. I have no idea. But this project was essentially a stewardship between U.S. Fish and Wildlife and us, DelDot. So yes, we do care. Right here, we got a FEMA grant for $650,000. If you want to research that, I don't know how we got it, where we got it, but we got it. The good news is that we were able to build this bridge for $1.3 million. So half off sale at the mattress discount. But, you know, so we got a little money, didn't cover it all. This is a good thing. You know, we talk about environmental. Originally, this area was a saltwater marsh. There's probably a better word for that. But then they changed it to a freshwater marsh, I think, to go duck hunting. And to do that, and then that didn't work. So now we're going back to the saltwater marsh the way it was intended to be, which is good. So they asked us, what we needed to do was convey saltwater, because the dunes breached, to convey saltwater from one end of Prime Oak Road to the other. So we had to create a, well, they created the channel, we created the actual bridge. I forgot to say something in the beginning of this. I recently got promoted to this position. Yeah, all right, but anyway. But I wanted, the guys in the back, raise your hand, the bridge guys in the back, there's some Skype, raise your hand, don't be as shy. They're in the back, they're going through a grieving process right now because they're very concerned because Jason's no longer their boss. So if you see them in the hall, just give them a hug, talk to them. Because I think they're a little worried about it. I'd love to see all the emails that went around when that happened. But long story short, we're hoping to continue to go up. It may be a little down, I don't know. But all right, whoa, be careful, there's wires up here. All right, so at any rate, they requested that we span a 50-foot conveyance channel. So that's basically a shot. I was told not to step.
Yeah.
Whoa, I did it.
Yeah, you did.
Whoa, anyway. So right there, the dune breach was done, and this right here is dredging, which is pretty impacted, but that's what they wanted to do, so we had to come in and do the bridge. Now this is Glenn Lovelace. It's hard to see. I couldn't find a better picture, so I'm disappointed. But he came in. Who knows that Glenn Lovelace likes birds? Raise your hand. So he was on this, like, is it white on rice? I don't know what you call it. He was all over it. So he said, let's make a 70-foot bridge, okay, because the slopes have to go out, so we needed it longer. He also said, hey, I'm going to do a pedestrian sidewalk because I want to be safe when I look at birds. So he did that. So then he created, hey, let's go a little further. Let's do parking pull-offs. Remember the Scope Creek Rob was talking about? We're growing, aren't we here? Perhaps this is why we're at 1.3 million. And then we were allowed to put, this is very odd, we put in a temporary road inside of the refuge. So, I mean, how often do you get to do that? Never. I'm telling you, never. But we were here because they were already tearing up everything, so we were under their permits, which was great. So, what I want to get into is the precast concrete piles here. This is where it gets a little boring, and I'm sorry, but basically, we have done this for years. It's a quick way to get stuff done. They were 14-inch by 14-inch by 60-foot long piles. We had 16, 18 per abutment that we put in there. Now, I get to put on the construction hat. This looks perfect, doesn't it? It's beautiful. It's a standard. Well, the first thing that construction people always say are designers are idiots, right? Yeah. What are they thinking? Yeah, I've heard it, you know, and it hurts a little bit. I just want to say to you guys, it does hurt a little bit. But we're not always thinking. I know that. So precast per design, that went great. The precast went really good. Now, I'm not allowed to go in front of it. Like I'm going to get shot. Can I point? This right here, that's an osprey. Oh, I got a laser pointer. Thank you, Shante. Osprey nest. Now, what's funny about that is there were some trees that were there at the refuge that fell down mysteriously for the osprey nest. So this guy, every morning, would build a nest on top of the cranes. So what did we do? We loved the environment. We sent the contractor up there to see if there were any eggs in it. Let's just say there were no eggs in it ever. So that thing got knocked down every day. I'm just saying. But they'll go anywhere they want. I guess it's the highest point that was there. So it was pretty cool. But this is the issue that we had. We had a contractor that was just starting pile driving. So day one, look how many feet we drove. Zero. It was a big day. We were all happy. The good news is we had about 8 people from Bridge Design there watching them do nothing. Sorry, maybe I shouldn't have said that, but that is what happened. But we quickly left because nothing was happening, and we went and worked all the rest of the day. In fact, we stayed late. Basically, they had trouble with the leads weren't long enough. This is a hard slide for me to talk about without doing something inappropriate, but the pile driving helmet was too big, so the cushion fell off. So some people are giggling because I was at the QAW a couple years ago, and I made a comment about a cushion. I don't know that it was good, but this is the cushion that I'm talking about right there. It's a pointer right there. I feel like my mom's in the front row right now. Pointer right there. So there it is. I like to move around, but anyway, they had some issues. That ended up falling almost and hitting the owner of the company, which isn't funny. I get it. He left. He was very angry. Then they learned, and they just took it away. And this is the same contractor who did 438, which was perfect. So they literally learned. I'm not making fun of them, just a little bit, but they did good. So now we go back to the good part, design part, where we did the abutment in the wing walls. We're good drawers. You know what I mean? Look at that. What can go wrong with that? Basically, we did stuff. We've done this millions of times. Sheet pile wall, sheet pile galvanized. Now, why would we want a sheet pile galvanized? Does anybody know? Salt water and corrosion. 2318. Okay, salt water. That is scary. A little bit. Because every movie they're like pulling a wire off of something when that's going on. Okay, so long story short, we built this. There's some cool. Look, I'm learning. Mom, I'm doing good. This right here is what we call the abutment. Sheet piles are there. And yes, galvanized you would think is important. And I think it is too. We've actually encased them in concrete. So now let me put my construction hat back on. Well, galvanized, take a look at what's in that picture. Those look galvanized. Raise your hand if those look galvanized. Absolutely not. They're not. Those are not. So I guess it wasn't that. They brought that out there. It's the truth. I'm sorry, but that is literally what happened. They brought it out, and if you know, the good news is they're not really corroding at this time. They should be okay. Frankly, it's probably going to be fine. It's probably going to be just fine. That's just something that we do. Belts and suspenders, we should be okay. Sheet pile layout, you can see we got a little water in there too. I know everyone's like, oh my gosh, they didn't de-water. They didn't de-water, but there's some. But you can see the piles eventually went in there. The piles were also put in mirrored on the side, so it was a narrower, the footprint was incorrect when we did it. That was another thing that happened because, again, we can all say it, designers are idiots, right? Yeah, okay, that's what happened. So long story short, now, if this is skewed and biased, it's meant to be, okay? I just want you to know that. Cast and place stub abutment, we've done that. They did a really good job with all that stuff, very good. It's Sachs Excavating, which they actually do a really good job out in the field. Now, CCR reports, may be different. I don't know. Some people may not. I don't know. So back to the good side again with my pointer. See, no one really knows what's going on here because it's kind of boring. But the fact is, we used the next beam D. Anyone know what that is? Next, Barry's like, I do. I used to run your section, Craig. I did. Actually, you never ran our section, did you? You actually ran both. So long story short, wait, it's a next, who knows what a next beam is? Probably nobody. Okay, so it's these bad boys right here. You see them a lot in parking garages, okay? It's 2 beams, basically, and the D means deck. So you actually, did someone laugh at that? That was weird. So deck, I didn't know that was funny. So deck is up on top, and they came in with the deck. The camber, one beam came out of camber. I don't know if you've ever been out there. Camber is very theoretical. This is one reason we're called idiots, because it never seems to work out. And frankly, it's a guess. And that happened out there. So, see, now I'm hitting the pointer when I want to hit the forward. So there you go. We got all that moving forward. Okay, so that's what a next beam looks like. You got your strands coming out, you got your rebar coming out, and that's a crane picking it up. How do you guys like it? Yeah, that's the way it worked. Went really good. This, I have nothing to say about except for the camber was wrong. Therefore, I'm going to take it on the chin, okay, because I'm very humble. Yes? Oh, camber, if camber is when you make a beam, you pre-stress it, it'll have a camber when you place it where it's, and we predict that it's self-weight and then the weight of the actual deck will bring it down to a certain elevation. Sometimes it doesn't come out that way. So you'll have some that actually came down and one that's up. So it creates I don't know the word I'm looking for, but like a gap or a step up out there. So it's not nice and smooth, okay? So does that help you? Thanks for interrupting. Thanks. All right. So I have a question slide. I don't know what the heck that's for. Wow. Okay. So we used to seek a spot to fill in what camber is. And this actually worked out really well. They did a really good job. They put it in there. It was fast, and that's one thing. We're really trying to accelerate our construction as much as we can. Okay, back to design. Again, lovely drawing. Who here's heard of, raise your hand. You don't have to say it out loud. UHPC. Oh, it's the new cat's meow, my friend. The liquid prell, the sliced bread, if you know what I mean. This right here, we're using it all over the place. This is a FHW, well, it's not. This right here, this joint is actually a design by Nextbeam. We place the UH really high-strength concrete if you don't know what it is. You're welcome, Pam. And what it does is it allows you to get real quick strengths. It allows you to get traffic and construction loads onto your deck really quickly, and it also keeps us from having to post-tension beams, which is another step, which is a pain, which creates corrosion. Okay, 1828. Good. And then we also use it for the back wall. It's higher quicker cure times, and it also gave us more practice with UHPC. The good news is it's very cheap. I don't know, last time I saw it, I think it was 5 times or more the cost of regular concrete because we have to bring out these fellows from Canada that named Lafarge, and they come out and they do it for us because they're the only ones, I guess, that can do it at this point. So it costs a little money. Very smart that we went this way, right? So we're going to go to construction now. Okay, actually in construction, they hit this out of the park, and there's a reason, because they listened to Lafarge. Now, the UHPC joints, we did have to grind some of them. I almost went over there. And we grinded some high points. They got 0 loss of any UHPC, which is a big deal. 717, I think we lost a whole load next to Route 1. I think we did. Is that right, Jay? I mean, she talks out. You can. Just correct me if you want. The weather was very hot, so what happened is they had to use ice as their total water content during that, and it created a little crust. You'll see what I'm talking about in a minute in case you have. She doesn't like me anymore. I'll stop. Okay, moving on. So same words. I read them to you, but we're going to something new here. This right here is the formwork that they had to put up to keep that UHPC in there. 0 leaked. And I think that's one of the first times that that's ever happened. And here you can see where they're putting this. This stuff is like pancake batter. Has anyone worked with it? And it's got nice, good steel fibers in it, which I want to show you here. We all show it. Now, I want to tell, if you're married, and/or just went through a rough breakup, this stuff is really good to put in the bed sheets right there because you can't get them out. It's like, have you ever gotten a splinter that won't come out? These, you can't even see them. They hurt so bad. And I love my wife, usually, and I have good kids. But anyway, this right here is what they put in there. And anyone know what those are from? Environmentalists, recycled steel belt radials from tires. Ah, it's beautiful, yes. We don't say it. And then they did this real smart thing where they actually put on top of all of their top forms, when they're pouring, it goes up a little bit. It'll raise up. So they put these I don't know, barriers or whatever you want to call it, concrete modular blocks on top to weigh down the top form. And it went really good. There was only a little bit of excess UHPC that went through. So these are the guys from Zach, but Lafarge comes down from Canada, and they actually do the mix for us, and then we actually get to get dirty with it, stuff like that. Okay, back to design. We put regular parapets and barriers, flat faces. It's different. It's not the F-shaped barrier. That doesn't look like an F-shaped barrier. But anyway, but these are straight down. We went ahead and we cast these out in the field, which nowadays we're actually doing a lot of precast work. But this was so far ago, it was probably a year ago, that we're, it's so innovative. We don't do this anymore. And then we used a high friction surface treatment. I think that we brought it with Adam, was talking well, he wasn't talking, Rob was. And I miss Adam a little bit. I'm just going to say, I do. Hi, Adam. How you doing, buddy? I wish you weren't here to hear that, honestly. Damn it. Anyway, glad you're here. So we got the overlay 1/8. The lab was upset with us about this for some reason, and I think it's because we had the wrong spec, the wrong aggregate with it. But it actually, in my opinion, it looks good. I don't really remember what the complaint was, but that's the way it looks out there. So you don't see any of the imperfections, because when you pour the UHPC and you have the beams, it looks a little bit ugly, right? Then you grind it, it's got all the things sticking up. This is nice and puts a nice smooth over top, smooth surface, and it looks really nice when you go out there. You don't have to worry about the fibers coming through or anything like that, and it looks nice. Here's the little walkway that cost $600,000. Just kidding. Don't write that down. I'm just kidding, but there we are, and here we are. There may be a guy with a panache jacket in there, which was actually me, by the way. Moving on, back to design. Now, this was supposed to be in the beginning. I made a change yesterday. Did you do something? Like last night I went in. Oh, well. Okay, this was supposed to be in the beginning, so if we could go backwards a little bit, all right, we put in a temporary bypass road. Remember me? Raise your hand if you remember me talking about a temporary. I did. And then I went into piles. Well, this is what I wanted to go into, and I wasn't able to. So, long story short, we got the permits because USF, whoever they are, I'm having trouble saying, they had all these permits to go in, so we were able to just put the road right next door to Prime Hook. Now, why? You ask, why do that? Why not close the road? Does anyone know why not close the road? There's one way in and one way out, but there's actually two ways in. A gentleman wanted to charge us to access his land, and he wanted us to have security on his land 24/7. We opted to go ahead and build the road next to it, as opposed to having like Magnum PI out there all day long for the guy. So it wasn't worth it. We just backed it. We said, whatever, dude. We don't need it. We're going to go ahead and build this. And here, for you exciting road PD folks, I got a little road section in this for you here. You could probably, there's no way you can read that, right? But if you want a copy of this, guys, this is the way a temporary road is done right here. Actually, we probably got it from you. I don't know. I don't know. But we did a temporary road. There were some issues with the temporary road, and we did make some mistakes. Yeah, we did. So we're going to go to so basically what happened was our illustrious Glenn Lovelace made the lifts or made the roadway too thin for them to be able to make it. We got it to the right elevation of the existing roadway, and basically they're driving their equipment over. And what happens to stone when you're on top of wetland, mucky soil? It just sinks in there, it's spread out. So we ended up having to use a lot more stone than we needed. Or, forgive me, we used the right amount of stone. We put too little in there. We needed more than I said. And this is really well done. This is when you know a guy's doing a PowerPoint at 7:30 in the afternoon. Look at this. By the way, this is very rare, like my steaks. I have no idea what I wrote under there, guys. I failed you on that. I really did. I would like to tell you I didn't, but I did fail you. This was actually put in. Great idea. We put geomaterial down. Then we put down the stone. And then when we backed it, when we took the road back out, it was real easy to pull out because the geomaterial was right there. That all went without a hitch. It looked beautiful. In fact, people were saying, why don't you just build the bridge on this road? But we couldn't. I don't know why we didn't, really. All right, so here, this is my favorite part. Now, I am actually like 10 minutes early. So should I just stand here and talk for a little bit? Although everyone's happy. Now, notice this is a ribbon cutting. This job had both a groundbreaking and a ribbon cutting. Who's ever been to a groundbreaking and a ribbon cutting? Okay, I just want to tell you that these people that are standing here were never at the site except at the groundbreaking. And then they came. Now, I blurted out so I don't get in trouble. Actually, I blurted out because I couldn't find a good copy of it. This is the one Jason Hastings sent to me, by the way. I asked him for a little bit of help, and this is what he gave me. I say, can you give me a ribbon cutting shot? He's like, sure, and he sends me this. So I don't know any of these people. I didn't know them before the contract. I didn't know them during the contract, and frankly, I didn't know who they were after the contract. This guy's in fatigues. Have no idea. I don't know if it was Air Force guys. I'm assuming Air Force, and maybe I should know this, but there's a few in there. I don't know if Rob's actually in here. I don't think he is. This is Mark's. I know that. That's the only person I know in it. But the rest of them, I think Jason is here. And let me tell you something about Jason and ribbon cutting. So they cut the ribbon at the same time. They go, 1, 2, 3, cut, right? And everyone goes, yay, right? Well, Jason was slow on the draw, so he was chasing it down because he couldn't get it in there. So if you look at it, his portion is never actually cut. That's my boss, ladies and gentlemen. Can't cut a ribbon. So perhaps we need to start thinking more about the people that we invite to ribbon cuttings. Because, anyway, these are representatives and stuff. I just find it a little bit funny that, designers and all that aren't. We could have, though. I'm sure we could have, and I'm not sure I want to be up there. But the funny thing is, it does bring to light that a lot of people come out there. I think it would be cool if we actually put residents of the area out there and let them cut it because they get to use it. I'm looking down at my people right there. Okay. So, I guess I don't have a question slide. Boy, did that not come back to haunt me. Wow. Yeah, she read it. She also went back in and checked. No, yeah. So that's about all I got. I mean, it was a really good program. We're trying to do a whole lot of ABC. It's accelerated bridge construction. So the next beams, the UHPC, no matter what we do now, people do not like us taking up their time on the roads. So even this job that had a low ADT, we did ABC so we could get in there, get out of there, bypass road. And I think Jason agrees, and Barry did too, that just about every bridge or pipe that we're going to do now is going to be accelerated bridge construction because there's no reason not to do it. The more we do it, the more the cost goes down, which is a great thing. And we're a part of that, and that's exciting. And I do appreciate your words about the track program. If you have any high school, this is a plug, if you have any high school students, but we're building bridges and breaking them, how much fun is that? And we're doing that down at, with TSA down at the Harrington Fair. Any questions for what I have? And I'm 7 minutes early. You're welcome. Nothing?